Blackstone Audio presents Dismantling America and Other Controversial Essays by Thomas Sowell. Preface. There are Americans alive at this moment who may experience the national equivalent of a perfect storm, either domestically or internationally, or both. To have what is called a perfect storm, many dangerous forces must come together at the same time. Those dangerous forces have been building in the United States of America for at least half a century. By 2010, increasing numbers of Americans were beginning to express fears that they were losing the country they grew up in, and that they had hoped, or perhaps complacently assumed, that they would be passing on to their children and grandchildren. No one issue and no one administration in Washington has been enough to create a perfect storm for a great nation that has weathered many storms in its more than 2 centuries of existence. But the Roman Empire lasted many times longer and weathered many storms in its turbulent times, and yet it ultimately collapsed completely. It has been estimated that 1,000 years passed before the standard of living in Europe rose again to the level it had achieved in Roman times. The collapse of a civilization is not just the replacement of rulers or institutions with new rulers and new institutions. It is the destruction of a whole way of life and the painful and sometimes pathetic attempts to begin rebuilding amid the ruins. Is that where America is headed? I believe it is. Our only saving grace is that we are not there yet, and that nothing is inevitable until it happens. While the Obama administration in Washington is not the root cause of the ominous dangers that face this country, at home and abroad, it is the embodiment, the personification, and the culmination of dangerous trends that began decades ago. Moreover, it has escalated those dangers to what may be a point of no return. The specifics of the missteps and the misdeeds of this administration are among the things chronicled here and there in the essays that follow, which were first published as my syndicated newspaper columns. But that such an administration could be elected in the first place, headed by a man whose only qualifications to be President of the United States at a dangerous time in the history of the world were rhetoric, style, and symbolism, and whose animus against the values and institutions of America had been demonstrated repeatedly over a period of decades beforehand, speaks volumes about the inadequacies of our educational system and the degeneration of our culture. That Barack Obama in office has often done the exact opposite of what Barack Obama said as a candidate on issue after issue should not cause...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?